This video was sponsored by Kershaw, Next Level Pocket Knives. Use discount code 20archery23 for 20% off at kershawknives.com. The SR350 is not the Bowtech I was planning to review this year. In fact, this one showed up, I think, less than a day after I wrapped up the 2022 hunting bow shootout. Literally less than 24 hours, the big brown truck dropped this off as a bit of a surprise for me. So I was actually hoping to get the SS34 in from Bowtech this year for testing. We just couldn't get it worked out, so I figured the SR350 deserved my full attention. This bow has an axle-to-axle length of 33 inches, a brace height of 6 inches, and an IBO rated speed of 350 feet per second. A couple years back, Bowtech unveiled what was then, and really still is, the easiest to adjust tuning system on the market, the deadlock system. This lets you move the cams left to right along the axles, top and bottom. You can do all of this without the use of a bow press. It's just as simple as using an Allen key, and then you could literally see the cams moving left to right as you turn the Allen key. With very small increments, you can make major changes to how the bow shoots. You can dial in your tuning like nothing else. The deadlock system is probably my favorite in the industry. What I actually really like about this is that even if you change your strings, as long as your strings and cables are the same length, your tune shouldn't change because your cams are still going to be the exact same spot on the axles. It is a brilliant system. I absolutely love it, and I do wish more bow companies would adopt something similar. Further adding to the adjustability is the flip disc system, which Bowtech has had for a number of years now. And basically this lets you kind of change how the bow feels to draw. So right now, this bow is set up in performance mode, which is kind of the more aggressive of the two, but there's also a comfort mode if you want a bow that's a little bit easier to draw. And you could also, again, do that without a bow press. You just unscrew a couple of screws, then flip the disc over, put your draw length mod in the right spot, and you are good to go. It's a great setup, and it really lets kind of the user fine-tune their bow, I don't know, better than any other bow on the market as far as I know. But what sets this Bowtech apart from the others is the cam. And if you take one quick look at it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. This is a very aggressive looking cam. And that's how they generate that speed. A 350 foot per second rated speed is an awful lot. And you know, when it comes to the draw cycle, you can really feel it, especially in performance mode. In comfort mode, it tunes things down a little bit, but in performance mode, you know, the first half of the draw is actually not so bad. But as this cam rotates and turns over into the valley, there's a notable hump you've got to get over. And you know, this is not the end of the world. You know, I've got this thing set up at 70 pounds. Somebody my size would probably be better at shooting this at 65 pounds. But you know, in order to get the speed test right, I have to have everything at 70 pounds. So that's why I had this bow. You know, and it's not impossible to draw or anything like that. Bowtech basically says you've never had kind of speed this smooth before, and I don't see any reason to argue that. You know, the draw cycle is, again, the hump is there, obviously, but you're going to have that with any speed bow. You know, speed comes at a price, and that's what the price is. But realistically, you know, you can draw it back with relative ease, especially if you knock it down a few pounds or you flip it over to comfort setting. Once you get to full draw, you're met with a wall that's got a little bit of give into it thanks to the cable stops. I wouldn't call it soft by any means. It's got just a little bit of pull through, which is my preference. All of the bows I've got in this year have cable stops, which I greatly appreciate. I don't tend to shoot limb stop bows as well as I do cable stop bows, but your mileage may vary. When it comes to accuracy, I don't know that I've shot a speed bow better than I've shot the SR350. I think part of that is due to the clutch performance grip. This is an absolutely great grip system. It's modular, so you can change the angles if you need to, but it's narrow, it's flat. I like how it feels a lot. Bowtech for a number of years had a grip that I just didn't like. I found it, you know, it was kind of rounded and just didn't fit my hand right. It wasn't repeatable for me personally. They switched to the clutch system, and it has absolutely changed how I feel about a lot of Bowtech bows. It feels pretty much perfect in the hand and gives me a little extra confidence when I'm trying to shoot the bow. After the shot, the SR350 offers surprisingly little vibration and noise for a speed bow. Normally you expect a speed bow to kind of make speed bow noise, but you know, these orbit dampeners really do a good job of quieting bows down. I shot a Bowtech a few years ago, I think the Revolt, the original bow with the deadlock system, and at the time I thought it was quieter than the Matthews. Which is saying something. And so I don't know if the SR350 is quite there, but for a speed bow, I don't know if you're going to find one any quieter than this. To test for speed, I use the performance mods. I have this thing set up at 70 pounds, and I'm in the 30-inch spot on the rotating mod. It did measure in at 30 3/8 inches, so take that into consideration. And with a 350 grain arrow, I shot an average speed of 342 feet per second. That is blazing fast, just 8 feet a second under the rated speed. And with a heavier 499 grain arrow, I shot an average of 289 feet per second. Those are plenty fast for any need I'm going to have. I do think that if I own this bow as my exclusive hunting bow, I would probably either knock the poundage down about 5 to 65 pounds, or I would use this in a comfort mode to kind of make the draw a little bit more comfortable for me, and just so I can shoot it more. I like to shoot a bow, 150, 200 times when I go to a range. I really like to put my miles in. I have a hard time doing that with this bow set up at 70 pounds in performance mode. But again, that's just me. Again, I'm not a big guy, so this is really not the ideal setup for me personally, but your mileage is obviously going to vary. Fit and finish on this bow is absolutely pristine. I've had this bow now for pretty much a year. As I said, it came over just after I finished the shootout and reviews last year, and there is not a mark on the riser. I love a black riser. I love a solid color bow almost exclusively, and this one looks great. I like the wide limb setup. The limbs match the riser. All told, fit and finish is perfect. MSRP on the SR350 is $1,300, which is definitely on the high end when you look at flagship level aluminum hunting bows. But to be fair, it's only $100 more than the cheapest bow I have in for testing this year. So realistically, this is just the new normal, I think, when it comes to these types of bows. You're no longer going to get these for $1,000 or $900 like you could a few years ago. The bottom line is, if you're looking for a hunting bow with fantastic speed, a great fit and finish, and it really is a nail driver if you get it set up properly for you, go to your Bowtech dealer and take one for a test drive.